This question I would rate as very difficult. There's a lot of knowledge you need if you can attempt this question. So what you can do is pause the video and have a go. Right, some of the things that you need to know, for example, let's say you've got this. Well, the base is the same and we're timesing. So what do you do with the indices? So when you're timesing, you add the indices, right? So it'll be 2 to the power of 183, right? That you need to understand. So you know, for example, that 2 to the power of 183 can be broken down to this. Obviously, there are other ways of breaking it down. So for example, if you've got 2 to the power of 7, you could break that down to, for example, 2 to the power of 4 times 2 to the power of 3. Because 4 and 3 makes a 7. There are other ways of doing it. For example, you can have 2 to the power of 1 times 2 to the power of 6. 1 add 6 gives you the 7, right? So there are many ways of breaking it down. And what I've shown you is one way of breaking it down up here. Right, what else do you need to know? You need to know, for example, this one you need to know. Let's suppose you've got 2 to the power of 180 and 5 to the power of 180. In this situation, you could, obviously the base is different, but you notice the indices are the same. So what you can do is just do 2 times 5 to the power of 180. That will give you the same value as what you got on the left hand side. Obviously 2 times 5 is 10. Right, you can try it with smaller numbers. If you try to put these numbers in a calculator, it'll give you a maths error. These numbers are too big for your calculator probably. So you can try it with smaller numbers. So let's say you got 2 to the power of 2 times 5 to the power of 2. Obviously the base is different, but the indices are the same. You know 2 squared is 4, 5 squared is 25. That would give you 100. Right. Let's see what happens when you do this. 2 times 5 is 10, and then you copy the index across, the indices across. That'll be 10. So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 squared is also 100. You see that does work. Right, what else do you need to know? You need to know, for example, 2 to the power of minus 3 is the same as 1 over 2 to the power of 3, which is 1 over 8. And if you do short division or use a calculator, that's 0.125. And if you've got something like this, for example, 0.125 times 10 to the power of, let's say, negative 2. I know this is not standard form, but what happens then, the decimal point moves 2 to the left. Let me show you. That decimal point will go 2 to the left, 1, 2. It's here now. Fill in the empty space with the 0, and don't forget before the decimal point there's another 0. So it looks like when you times by 10 to the power of minus 2, you have 2 digits after the decimal point. So if you tried it with something else, let's say 10 to the power of minus 4, then the decimal point will move 4 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. The decimal point goes from here. Don't forget to put the zeros in and the 0 before the decimal point. So when you times by 10 to the power of minus 4, you get 4 digits after the decimal point. So these things you need to understand. Everything I've shown you here, all of this you need to understand. Right, and maybe now we can do the question. Let's try the question now. Right, we're gonna have to break this down now. We've got a 1 at the top. so this 2 to the power of 183, I'm going to break it down to 2 to the power of 180 multiplied by 2 to the power of 3. Right, it's right here. Okay, you can see that. And don't forget, we've got times by 5 to the power of 180 as well. It's right here. So now what? We'll keep this where it is for the time being. Now just focus. I want you to focus on this bit here and this bit. I'm referring to what I've written over here. So this 2 to the power of 180, it's here. And then see this 5 to the power of 180, it's over here. And what does that give us? That gives us 10 to the power of 180. We've already seen that. So let me just rewrite this. That'll be 10 to the power of 180. And that leaves you with times by 2 to the power of 3 on the denominator. Now all of this can be rewritten just as you've seen over here. When you've got 1 over 10 to the power of 180, that can be rewritten as 10 to the power of minus 180. And this 1 over 2 to the power of 3 can be written as 2 to the power of minus 3. All right. Now you know 2 to the power of minus 3. 2 to the power of minus 3 is 0.125. Let me write this down, 0.125. And this bit over here is times by 10 to the power of minus 180. But as you've seen from information I've shown you here, when you times by 10 to the power of minus 2, you get 2 zeros after the decimal point. So for example, when you times by 10 to the power of negative 4, you get 4 zeros after the decimal point. So what we expect when you times by 10 to the power of minus 180, you do expect 180 zeros after the decimal point. Right, this is good enough.